Hello, I'm Armin Budish. Welcome to Golden Opportunities.
Today, tips that will have you sleeping like a baby. Then, need a reason to smile? We'll share makeovers that will make your day. Considering care options is complicated. We'll direct you to an optimal way to assess your alternatives. Plus, we'll put you in the driver's seat as we cruise car classics at a new auto exhibit. And even with Medicare, you'll still pay plenty for your health care. So we'll offer helpful tips to cut your costs.
It's time to get GOing, so pull up a chair and join us at our kitchen table for Golden Opportunities. You've heard about sleep apnea and maybe even think the topic's a bit of a snore, but this will wake you up. Sleep apnea can kill. This nightmare scenario is real, but it can be avoided. And Dr. Joseph Golish is here to share some dream-come-true treatments. Dr. Golish is with the Metro Health Center for Sleep Medicine. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Armin. Good morning.
Good morning. So, sleep apnea, it's more than a nuisance. It can actually cause a lot of physical health harm and kill you.
Absolutely. Sleep apnea, it's incredibly common, usually unrecognized, and can cause a whole variety of health problems. And in fact, can shorten lifespan as much as 10 to 15 years if it's not treated.
What are some of the health problems?
Well, on this list you can see high blood pressure, diabetes, heart attacks, strokes. There's a tenfold...
All kinds of stuff.
Absolutely. There's a tenfold increased risk in car accidents, even fatal car accidents, that can even affect innocent bystanders. In fact, the DOT has just begun requiring that all commercial drivers be tested for apnea to be sure they're safe. And recently, cancer's been associated with apnea.
If we're snoring, does that mean we have sleep apnea?
No, if it's snoring alone with those sleep symptoms, about half of those snorers have apnea.
Half?
But yes, because the obstruction's only partial. But with apnea, the obstruction becomes more complete, causes the snoring, plus pauses in breathing, poor sleep, and tiredness the next day.
If we want to fix it, do we have to use that Darth Vader machine that goes over the whole head? And
well,
all
if you
that?
want to, but there are options.
Okay.
CPAP for the last 3 decades has been the standard, and the reason is because it always works, at least in the lab, but in fact at home...
This is a picture, right?
Yes, yeah, and it is, it's obtrusive. There's a lot of equipment there, and it is a hassle, so that in fact about 2/3 of patients actually don't use it, even though they have it.
What's the Winx machine now? This is a whole new thing, and I want to talk about that.
It's interesting that for the last 3 decades we've been struggling with CPAP, and for some patients, if they're having trouble with it, it's just changing the mask of the machine. But for others, they just can't use it, and we've been waiting for something. And out of heaven, 2 devices dropped in the last 2 years. One is this Winx machine,
right?
And there's a picture of it. It's really quite small. It's about the size of a water pick. It has a real thin tube like a water pick that comes out of it, but instead of pushing air under pressure, it has a low-grade vacuum, so it provides some suction with a little mouthpiece that holds it in place.
Why are people going to use this when they haven't been using the CPAP?
Very good question. While CPAP compliance might be 30%, compliance with this is 90% plus. It's very light, it's real comfortable, it doesn't tether or hold the person in place, and it's real well accepted.
And does it work?
Yes, it does work. It doesn't work in everybody, and that's true of pretty much any treatment for apnea. It's never 100%. But for most patients it does work, and almost everybody who it does work will use it.
You mentioned that there were 2 new treatments that fell out of the sky. One is the Winx machine. The other are these 2 little patches here?
Yes.
Tell us, what is that?
The device is called Provent, and it's a way of delivering CPAP, but without all the machinery. It's like a Breathe Right strip. It's a Band-Aid with a valve in the center. It's easy to breathe in. You put one on each nostril each night. Easy to breathe in through the nose, but when you try to breathe out through the nose, the valve comes across, and you breathe against resistance. It causes a back pressure, so you become your own CPAP machine. Wow. And it replaces all that other equipment. And tolerance, again, like the Winx, almost everybody can use it comfortably and actually look forward to using these things.
One of the things I've been impressed with is you're like the lead guy. I mean, you've been interviewed by the New York Times and Good Morning America, and this Winks machine that you talked about, you can only get it like in 4 places in the whole country, and Metro Health is one.
Yes, Metro Health has access to that device, and there are 3 others in other parts of the country. It is FDA approved. Some of the insurances actually already pay for it. That it's that good.
And for the Provent, you have to go through a sleep study, and you can do that through Metro as well?
Right, and home studies have become real popular now because of the cost savings, and so in-lab studies had always been an obstacle for a lot of people, but home studies make it much more available to them.
Doctor, thank you so much. This is such an important issue and great new information. If you have sleep apnea, don't take the diagnosis lying down. Call Metro Health Center for Sleep Medicine and make an appointment. The number's coming up next. My thanks to Dr. Golish for this very important wake-up call.
Find out more by calling the Metro Health Center for Sleep Medicine at 216-778-3441 or visit www.metrohealth.org/sleep. Next, why grins are in. But first, who doesn't love a red letter day? A special, wonderful moment when you can color us happy. But why does red rule the day rather than a hue of another color? Here's a hint about the tint. It's a bit dated. We'll open an old almanac for the answer when we return.
Welcome to Breckenridge Village, a continuing care retirement community conveniently located in historic Willoughby, Ohio. Whether it's a luxury apartment, a spacious ranch home, or newly built brownstones, it's all here with the added security of knowing more care is available when you need it. Breckenridge Village offers an exciting and upbeat lifestyle, and the food is fabulous, and our staff makes you their #1 priority. Learn more about Breckenridge Village and come see our new Veal Wellness and Aquatic Center.
In the 1400s, long before Blackberries and iPads, the calendar was printed in black ink. But to catch your eye, red ink was used to mark feast days, saint days, and holidays, all times to celebrate. This led to describing any delightful time as a red letter day.
Maybe you've moved or your dentist retired, or you just don't feel comfortable going to the dentist in the first place. Bottom line, you need to find a dental office that not only will do great work, but will also treat you like a person instead of a patient. Dentist Steve Marsh is here with tips to track down the right dentist to treat your teeth. Thanks for joining us, Steve.
My pleasure, Armin.
So, how to find the right dentist? Let's start with the importance of the very first impression.
Well, you know, it's very interesting. When you call an office, you really want to have that welcoming feeling, and that starts at the front desk. It's important that offices have people that welcome people into the office. We have a couple of terrific people in our own office, but that gives you an entree into the type of work and how much they care, especially if it's been a long time or you're anxious about making the call. There's Karen and Amy in our office. That's the smiles they use in person, and that's the same smiles they have on the phone, because especially people who've been hesitant over the years to do anything like that, it's important to have that nice greeting at the beginning.
Appointment, I assume, is the next step.
Yeah.
What's the welcoming piece there?
Well, the welcoming piece is many times you give a tour of the office so people feel comfortable, so they have a sense of what the office is like, what materials they use, techniques. I also think it's important for the dentist to sit down with the patient before they put you in a dental chair. You know, that can be very anxiety producing, and the dentist and the patient should be on the same page. We should know what you're here for. You may not be here for cosmetics, you may be here for a toothache, and that's important. Here's Fred Griffith, who is a patient of mine, and we were friends for a long time, but when he came in as a patient the first time, he had things that bothered him, and I sat down and I wanted to sit around the table, not put him in a chair, to make him comfortable, and so that we had a chance to go over his priorities and get a sense of what he needed. And I think all dentists should do that the same way, Armin, that when you meet with a client the first time, you really want to know what they're there for. You offer a lot of services, but you want to be on the same page as the client.
All right, so now you've decided on this great dynamite dentist. What should you look for when it comes time to the work?
Well, a lot of times it's important to know the dentist can do a lot of things, but sometimes we stage things. Maybe you have a financial situation that's important. Maybe you have an insurance problem. Maybe you have a big event coming up, a reunion, that sort of thing. maybe a new baby or a date, whatever it is. It's important that you get that settled, and then the dentist can stage the treatment. Some patients will come and they want a lot done all at once, and some people want it done in stages, and that depends on...
And you want a dentist that's going to be flexible in that
Flexible,
respect.
yeah, you have to be responsive to whatever the patient needs.
All right. When we leave the dentist chair, then that's the end.
Well, it isn't the end. I think it's very important for dentists to follow up with patients. A lot of work may have been completed. You want to make sure the patient's comfortable. So it's important that maybe you make a soft night guard. Maybe the person has a sleep problem and they grind their teeth like your last interviewer said. So you may want to make something for them that makes them very comfortable with whatever you're doing. And oftentimes we'll call in the evening to say, are you okay? Or call the next day to say, is there anything else that's giving you a problem? Those are all very important things.
Should the dentist do anything if you're not feeling well after the appointment?
Yeah, oftentimes we just say, come on in, let's take a look and see what it is that's bothering you. That should be part of the original treatment, because you want to make sure that as they go forward, they're comfortable with the work that they had. It's also important if you had an emergency. For example, you may have fallen, or a child or a grandchild may have hurt themselves at school. I think it's important that we not only have an answering machine, but you really need an answering service so they can be responsive to that problem right away. Oftentimes we'll even give our cell phone numbers, and that's not a problem. It's because we want to be partners with you in your dental health.
Great. And of course we have a picture.
Well, this is a patient, you talked about anxiety. She had had implants put on many years ago, was never happy with the look, and was really afraid what was going to happen when we took off the teeth, the crowns that went over the implants, not take out the teeth. So we sat down and spent a lot of time going over the possibilities. We did a wax prototype to make sure that as we moved forward, she was comfortable.
Is that the same person in the two
It's the exact
pictures?
same person. You
Wow.
know, that hesitant smile was very different. I talked about doing things over time. This is a patient, she's a salesperson, was always unhappy with her smile. She wasn't able to do it all at one time. She had different insurance needs and very professional and didn't have a lot of time. So over time we staged that. We did gum contouring, some veneers, some new crowns, all in porcelain to give her what would, thank you. But the key thing was that we sat down together and did it at her speed and really wanted to go to her priorities and got a wonderful result.
It's great guidance you're giving people. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate that.
My pleasure.
When it comes to deciding on a dentist, relationships are key to finding the right one. Asking the right questions can get you to the right answers. To find out more, give Steve a call. His number's up next.
See what Dr. Stephen Marsh can do for your smile by calling 440-461-1003 or visit www.clevelandsmiles.com. Next, a directory to make care decisions less difficult. Looking for places to go, things to do? Welcome to our community calendar. Are you managing menopause? Find out what's hot and what's not when a Metro Health specialist shares timely tips. This free event takes place Monday, February 25th at 7 p.m. at the Middleburg Heights branch of the Cuyahoga County Library. To register, visit www.cuyahoga-library.org or call 440-234-3600.
Let's face it, researching care options for our loved ones is no fun, and it's not easy. That's why most of us avoid the job until a crisis hits. It's even hard to know where to begin, but today we're glad to say you'll discover a starting point that can end with the answers you need. Max Compton has created a senior comfort guide that gathers many, many area resources into one single website. And he has a print guide too. Max is the president of Senior Comfort Care. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Armin, for having me.
Okay, so you created this resource. It's chock full of stuff, all kinds of information on care. Why did you create it?
Well, I've been in healthcare for many, many years, providing counseling to patients at long-term care facilities such as nursing homes, assisted living, independent living. And the number one issue that does come up in a counseling session is mom or dad was rushed into the decision of being placed in this facility or for this specific service, and not all the time was it the right choice, or they didn't know all their options that was out there.
Why is it that so often people are rushed into that decision?
Well, usually a high percentage of the patients that are in facilities are usually in a hospital prior. Their health takes a turn, unfortunately, downwards, and they need to be discharged from the hospital as soon as possible.
And they don't have much time. Once that decision's made, you got to go.
The clock is ticking. Once the hospital says goodbye, you got to go. And most of the time, you need continuous. If it's service or a facility that you need to go into, you're not going to be going back at home, or something changed. Now you need home health care or whatever.
So what's in the guide? Tell us what's in the guide.
The guide is a lot of information, educational information, first of all, so someone can make the right decision to know which option, either service or facility. There's a list of many, many facilities all throughout Northeast Ohio. There's services, whether it's home health care, hospice, medical equipment, medical transportation, hospitals, and lists of senior centers all in Northeast Ohio.
Great, great. And your guide, I'm holding up the hard guide, but you have it online too. What's the benefit there?
Yes, Armin. We do have a guide that's online. The benefit of seeing all the listings online is you'll see virtual tours, videos, photos of many, many of these services in Northeast Ohio, which is more of a comfort level for a lot of these families and loved ones.
And we're showing a shot of the online site right now. And you've got, among other things, you have a list of important questions to ask nursing homes or assisted living facilities before you make a decision, right?
Right. What we included in the guide was not only questionnaires, but is also a checklist of information that when you come in and see a facility, what you should be asking for, what you should be looking for. At times, surprises, again, do come up when a family member is in a facility, and we found it to be very important to include all information necessary for whatever might come up, whether if it's a specific service you're looking for, or what the visitation rights are for family members, so on and so forth, just to know exactly what's in place in that specific facility.
Well, you know, I've been involved in this business, in this area of work for many, many years, and it's very important to have a guide like this, so thank you for doing that. Thanks for putting it together. Names, addresses, pictures, profiles of senior services, more, all in one place. It's comforting to know that the first step, understanding what's out there, has been done for you. Thanks to Max Compton and his Senior Comfort Guide. To learn more, use the information that's coming up next.
For more information about the Senior Comfort Guide, call 216-292-8485 or click to www.seniorcomfortguide.com. Next, what you oughto know. It's time to get up and go. An exercise minute on golden opportunities.
Hello everybody, I'm Mike Harbin from Breakout Fitness, and today we're going to work our chest muscles by doing chest flies. This is a great exercise that will help you even push a shopping cart around the store a little bit easier. You ready to go?
I think so, but I think I'd rather have cheese fries than chest
No
flies.
cheese fries while working out. That's not on your diet. We're going to hold the band in one hand. We're going to swing it around our back to the opposite, grab a hold, pull it to about the midpoint of our back. Now we're going to start with our hands touching about shoulder height. Remember to keep your thumbs up. Open slowly and close them. Take a big deep breath as you open to the side of your body. There you go, and close it slowly. Remember, during this exercise, you don't want to bend your arms. You want to simply keep them straight. 12 to 15 repetitions, 2 to 3 times a week, and now it's your turn to get up and go.
For your copy of the exercise booklet, please send $1 for postage to Golden Opportunities, 23240 Chagrin Boulevard, Suite 450, Beechwood, Ohio, 44122.
When it comes to leadership in automobiles and aviation, Northeast Ohio deserves a AA rating. We have a great history in setting the world in motion, which is also the name of a new exhibit at the Western Reserve Historical Society. And here to drive this point home is the curator of transportation, Mr. N. Derek Moore. Thank you for joining us today.
Oh, not a problem. Glad to be here.
Thanks for being here. So, Derek, tell us about this exhibit. What are we going to see?
Well, what you're going to see is, of course, as you mentioned, entitled Setting the World in Motion. And we take a look at the way that Cleveland and Northeast Ohio really, held a great, beginnings in the transportation industry of auto and aviation, and really helped to kind of bring that to the world.
Great. So, You know, I've been to the Crawford, many of our viewers have been to Crawford a number of times. You know, you go down the stairs, you see the autos and the airplanes and all that. This is different though, right?
This is much different. We aim to really put together a comprehensive exhibit, and that's very contextual, tells a story, starting with some of the great entrepreneurs that were in this area, like John D. Rockefeller, Alexander Winton, Fred Crawford, and then tell the story of the auto industry that was here, the national air races, and then some of the early aviation technology that was coming out of this area.
So give us a story or two. Tell us about the Peerless Company, for example. What role that played in Cleveland?
Yeah, the Peerless Company, it's a great company, and what we wanted to do with the exhibit is not only look at just the automobiles that they produced. We wanted to look at the company as a whole, from beginning to end. And they have a great story, probably one of the greatest stories, because they start out as producing wringers for the old wringer washing machines. They move, they kind of move forward in technology. They start building bicycles, roller skates, and then finally decide, hey, why don't we get in this, automobile game?
Right.
So they build automobiles from about 1900 till 1931, when they produced their last car, which was a all-aluminum prototype that we do have in the collection.
Right.
And then from there, the management sits down and says, well, this is kind of we're starting to lose money here. What are we going to do to keep the company going? And they decide that, with Prohibition being repealed, they should brew beer, and they become the Brewing Corporation of America, brewing Carling's beer. Initially,
great.
yeah, red ale, and then, of course, the famous Black Label.
So that's one of the instances where driving and drinking goes together. Not generally, though. Yeah. Okay. Tell us about Crawford, Mr. Crawford.
Mr. Crawford, he was a great man. Grew up on the East Coast. Went to college out on the East Coast, and then eventually moved to Cleveland to work for what would become Thompson Products, and then eventually TRW, and of course became president of those companies. And the great thing is, of course, he is what the collection is named after, because in 1937, when the Great Lakes Exposition was coming to an end, one of the displayers of antique vehicles there needed to get rid of his vehicles, was looking for some money, things like that. And Mr. Crawford purchased the 1910 Duryea Electa from him, and that is the beginnings of what is now the Crawford Auto Aviation Collection. And we still have that car, and it's on display.
And the things that you have are just fabulous. It's well worth a trip down, and this new exhibit gives you such great context in history. Thanks for coming here and explaining it to us today.
Glad to be here.
All right, so it turns out we're quite accomplished when it comes to automobiles and aviation. Right here, to see for yourself, take a drive to the Western Reserve Historical Society. My thanks to Derek Moore making the trip to see us.
Find out more by calling the Crawford Auto Aviation Collection at the Western Reserve Historical Society at 216-721-5722 or click to www.wrhs.org. Next, tips to cut your health care costs.
They haven't been inducted to a Hall of Fame. They don't get stopped for autographs or photos. They don't have entourages or shoe deals. But they still deserve our applause and admiration because they are fighters, believers, heroes. We are the Metro Health System. We are the proud sponsor of the comeback.
Did you miss a phone number or a website? Here's your second chance, because we're going to list all of that information again, and then we'll be back to tell you how, even with Medicare, you'll need to manage your medical care costs. Fairy tales aren't just for kids. There's one for adults that's popular too, and that is Medicare will cover all your health care costs. Sadly, that's far from the truth. Now, don't get me wrong, Medicare plays a very important role in the health care story. But even with Medicare, you could easily have to come up with hundreds of thousands of dollars out of your own pocket for additional costs that aren't covered under Medicare. Here to help us cut those very real costs is my law partner, Mike Solomon. Thanks for joining us, Mike. So, Mike, if we have Medicare coverage, where do all these other costs come from?
Well, Armin, even with Medicare, you have deductibles and copays, and there are other things like eyeglasses, prescription drugs, hearing aids.
Give us an example. Give us an example.
For example, Medicare Part A, you don't pay a premium. That covers your hospital stay, but you have a deductible there of a little over $1,100, $1,184. And Part B, which covers your doctor's visits, that costs $104 per month, and then you still have a deductible of $147.
Okay.
Part D is the prescription drug program. That costs a little over $40 a month, approximately. Right. And then if you hit the donut hole, you could be out of pocket thousands of extra dollars. Right. And then there are other things. You might want dental care, and
that can be very expensive.
That can be very expensive.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So how do we cut our costs?
Well, there are a couple ways. One way, for example, if you're still working, you can be eligible for a health savings account, and by that you put money in that account. You get a deduction, so it's income. It reduces your taxes. The money inside the account, like an IRA, grows tax-free, and this grows tax-free. And then you use it to pay your medical expenses. You don't have to pay any income taxes on it, so it saves you some money.
How about for retirees that aren't working?
Well, if you're a retiree, you need to buy a Medigap plan. And what these plans do is they pay for most, if not all, of the costs that Medicare doesn't pay. Now, there are 10 different standardized tests. They're lettered A, B, C, etc.
Right.
So you look at each of those plans, see which one fits your needs the best. Then when you pick a letter, let's say you pick letter A's plan is the best, then compare the different companies, because even though it's a standardized plan, they may have different costs. And you try to figure out what's best for yourself.
And you can save a lot of money doing that.
That's right.
Very good. Thank you, Mike. Medicare is a wonderful program, but you'll still be faced with substantial medical costs. To create a happier ending to this story, follow Mike's advice. We'll be right back.
Call Budish, Solomon, Steiner, and Peck at 1-888-236-5173 for more information or to schedule a speaker for your organization. Or log on to www.budishandsolomon.com.
Thanks for joining us today. On next week's show, if your financial future is in flux, are annuities the answer? We'll see if the advantages add up for you. Then you can't sleep? We'll help you rest easy. Sometimes the behaviors of your loved one with dementia can be mystifying. We'll clue you in on ways to solve the puzzling questions. Plus, let's catch up with a Cleveland comic whose rants and raves focus finding humor in our hometown. And last, lessons we can all learn about life care. Until then, please remember to make the most of your golden opportunities.
Would you like to join our kitchen conversation? All you have to do is call toll-free 1-877-765-1543 and leave us your question, name, and phone number. Or log on to www.golden.tv for all the latest information and show updates.